What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Screen Kings. My name is Christian, and today I'm going to be reviewing for you guys the new January horror film, Primate. Is it any good? Let's dive in, y'all. But before we dive in, I want to share with you guys a quick synopsis from Google, which says Lucy's tropical island homecoming turns deadly when her family's clever chimpanzee, Ben, becomes rabid. With her father away and no help coming, paradise becomes a prison as Lucy and her friends fight for survival against a pet they once trusted. Primate currently sits at a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. First, I think it's important to say that when I first saw the trailers for Primate, I was not impressed at all. I thought it was going to be one of those typical standard January horror films where it's just a mess of a picture. Normally, when we see January horror films come out, they're normally not very good. And when I saw the trailer for Primate, it didn't instill any confidence in me, let's say that. I thought it was just going to be another one of those fluky January horror films that we're going to have to sit through and until we get to something better. And if I can be honest with you guys, I was actually genuinely and pleasantly surprised with how good Primate is. One of the best things that works for Primate is that it's short, it's sweet, and it's to the point. It's just under, I think it's an hour and 29 minutes. It's just under 90 minutes long. It does not add any fluff into the film. It gets straight into the point and it delivers on what you would expect. A lot of gory, violent action with a chimpanzee that is kind of on the loose and has rabies. Now, one of my concerns with the short runtime was, are we going to have enough time with the human characters to be invested between the relationship between Ben, the chimpanzee, and the human characters? And I think one of the strengths of this film is even in the short runtime, the film is able to establish in a quick amount of time the relationship between Ben and the human characters, especially the main central characters, the father, the daughter, those types of people. And they establish it so well in such a short period of time that when Ben, the primate, does take a shift and starts going on this rampage, you actually genuinely feel for the characters and the situation that they're in. Another thing I really loved about Primate is the father character. I don't recall this actor's name, but he was in Coda, Children of Deaf Adults, which won Best Picture a few years back, and he actually won Best Supporting Actor in that movie. And he shows up in this film, and he's a deaf actor, but he has such a genuine warmth about his presence in every character he plays, and he felt like a real, genuine father to these kids, which I really appreciated. But another thing is, because he cannot hear and he is deaf, there are some scenes with him and Ben that really worked well where it's from the father's perspective and he can't hear what's going on in the background. So Ben might be lurking somewhere, Ben might be attacking someone else, and the father's around and he cannot hear what's going on. And it really creates a sense of visceral tension and kind of despair within the audience because something is happening to another character and he has no idea what's going on because he can't hear. And it just created this sense of dread and the sense of tension within me as an audience member. And I thought all those scenes with him, from him bonding with the kids to the horrific moments of him not being able to hear, worked really well for the film. Now, when you go into a horror film, any horror film, you want to know if the kills are going to be gruesome, if they're going to be violent, and that's what you get here from Primate. I really appreciated that each kill in this movie really felt unique and it standed out on its own. I felt like with a chimp that's trying to kill people, I think it could have definitely got a little wash, rinse, and repeat. But I really admire the director and I really admire the writing team for what they did to create each kill, making it feel unique, but not over the top. You know, sometimes in films like this, it might not feel realistic, but I feel like the kills were unique. Each one happened in a different manner. They were all like shocking and they all felt grounded in some sense of reality. Nothing felt over the top. You get a lot of gruesome kills and there's not a lack of it. I mean, Ben goes completely nuts at points. There's ones that are going to have you in shock. There's kills that are going to have you screaming in your seat. So if you're looking for cool horror action, you know, violence on that level, Primate definitely delivers that in spades. The last thing I want to say here about Primate It was my absolutely favorite part of this film, and I was not expecting it at all. But the score and the music of this film is absolutely fantastic. It really reminded me a lot of old horror films, like the early Halloween 1 and 2 scores, and it just provoked a sense of dread, a sense of tension within me as I watched it. Adrenaline. I felt the adrenaline pumping within me, not only from what I was watching on the screen, but what I also was hearing through the music. And I was just so captivated by how good this score was. I mean, a score like this and the theme song that they have in this movie really was than the actual movie. So my favorite part of Primate was definitely the music. I was in the theater, it was blasting. Music is supposed to enhance the films that you're watching. It's supposed to increase the emotion that you're experiencing. So if you're supposed to be experiencing anger in a particular scene as the audience member, then the music should help aid in that. If you're supposed to be experiencing sadness, the music is supposed to help with that and enhance the scene so the audience member really experiences what you're trying to get across. And Primate, just that score and that theme music just really creates a sense of dread. And it really feels like there is there is a sense of dread when you're watching it. So overall, guys, I loved Primate. I would give Primate an 8 out of 10. Definitely a solid January horror flick, one that really surpassed my expectations and one that I highly recommend if you are a horror fan. I think those that love horror, especially those that like animal type of horror where animals go nuts like Cujo, will really get a kick out of Primate. So I definitely recommend Primate if you are interested. I think Primate shows us as audiences that just because a movie, especially a horror movie, comes out in January does not mean that it's going to be bad. And I think Primate really does a great job at breaking the mold and establishing trust within the audience that January horror movies are still worth watching. So overall, guys, I give Primate an 8 out of 10. If you saw it, please let me know what you thought down in the comments section below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe. And until next time, enjoy your movies, and bye-bye for now.